Rooted in the Middle, where I talk about real life, real work, and real faith. And today I have a very special guest with me, and it is my firstborn son, Jackson. And he's going to tell you a little bit about himself here in just a second. But I talk about on my channel, I talk about being in the middle of everything, and parenting is one of those things. And so I wanted to have Jackson on and just have kind of a conversation with him about different things about responsibility and, maturing and that kind of thing. So I'll let Jackson tell you a little bit about himself.
Hi, I'm Jackson. I'm her firstborn. And I am 16, about to turn 17 this coming August. I am going to be going to school for
Electricity.
Yeah, well, part of school for electricity, the Career Center.
You're going to be
at
a junior.
Whitewater. Yeah, and I'm going to be a junior. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jackson's wrapping up his tomorrow. By the time you see this, it'll have been last week, but tomorrow is his last day of school as a sophomore. So he's going to be upperclassman now, which is a little bit surreal for me. I remember being exactly his age, and
I'm not nerdy anymore.
he's not. You were never nerdy. He was never nerdy. But he's a good kid. He's active in sports. He does football and track, and he makes good grades, and he has a part-time job. He's had a part-time job for over a year, I think.
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half now. He started working he first worked at Taco Bell, and now he works at the local university here, in their rec area and in their athletics area. So Jack is just a very well-rounded kid, very down to earth. He's also active in church music, so he gets to minister to our church at like their youth night. You get to play
Sunday
guitar.
Night Live.
Yeah, he gets to play guitar there, and it's just an awesome thing to have them include him in that. And he's very talented. He's extremely talented on the guitar and the bass. He says all good musicians. So anyway, I wanted to have Jackson on here just to get his perspective. In one of my earlier episodes, I wanted to get him on pretty quickly because I'm going to be talking about my family and about parenting and that sort of thing. And sometimes it helps an audience to be able to feel the realness in what I'm talking about if they've met some of my family. So we're gonna talk about. I think there's value in seeing things from the teenager's perspective. Sometimes I don't want them to feel like I'm just getting on YouTube acting like I know how everything goes, because I'm very much, like I said, I'm in the middle of it all, and I'm still figuring it out.
I've been your age once.
I've been his age once. You make it sound like I say that, and I'm so old.
Sorry.
But he's a teenager for the first time, and I'm the mom of a teenager for the first time. So it's my fourth year now as a mom of a teenager, but we're figuring out this life together as mom and son. So he's in the pre-adult age of teenager, adolescent years. He's maturing. He's getting more responsibility. He's getting more independence. He does drive, and with independence comes responsibility. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about is, now that you have started getting more independence, like we let you drive places within reason. I mean, you've driven down to church, and that's about a 30-35 minute drive.
That's probably the furthest I'll ever be driven by myself or with one of my siblings.
Maybe.
Yeah, it just kind of, the leash grows longer as time goes on.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a good way to do it, because we try. You have the luxury of having like navigation in your phone
Life 360 in your pocket.
Life 360. I always get to see where
Apple
he's at.
AirTag in your wallet.
But more so, like, I'm not as worried that you're going to get somewhere and get lost. I'm worried that you're going to get somewhere and your battery's going to die and you're not going to know how to get back. So that's like his cell battery. I'm worried. That's what parents worry about, I feel like, now, is like, we can get you back home very easily, but you've got to keep your phone charged, that kind of thing.
You got to tell us when.
Exactly. There's an amusement park an hour from our house, and this summer we might be able to stretch it to that far. We'll see. We'll have to see. To be determined. But anyway, now that you've started getting some more independence with driving, do you feel like you can feel that additional sense of responsibility with that independence?
Yeah, 100%. I can feel like, because of course, getting your own car to drive and all that, you need to either pay for your own gas and use that gas wisely, and that takes a lot of responsibility, because it's like 20-minute drive from here to my school, and having a truck that runs 18 to the gallon, it's like a gallon every trip there and back. So you have to kind of pre-plan with where you're going, how long you're going to be there, how long it's going to take to get there, and how much you got. So
Yeah. So do you see? So that's a very good. I mean, that's a very good life lesson that we're all learning. Is for with you is that when you first got your license, you were really excited to just run to town. I want to run to the store. I want to run. To whatever. Go run and grab something. Yeah. And especially, and that wasn't so hard when gas was $2.50 a gallon.
$2.50.
But right now we're pushing $5 a gallon, and it is a lot. It's hard, but it hurts. It hurts the heart. But you're doing a very good job with it. I think it's a challenge even for adults to think, okay, do I absolutely need to make this trip? Because like Jack said, we're out in the country. To get to his school is 20 minutes one way. For us to get to the closest town is about a 5 to 8 minute drive. But if we need anything other than Walmart and Kroger, it's a 30-minute drive. We're a 30-minute drive from everything. So you need to go to a shopping center that's not one of those. You're looking at a 30 to 40-minute drive easily. So,
Costco, about 45 minutes.
Yeah, Costco is 45 minutes from us. Church is 35, 40 minutes from us. So it's hard. It's gas prices are just hard. But do you see that the responsibility of like thinking ahead and being having that foresight of okay, and planning and responsibility, and it's like you're budgeting your gas and you're budgeting your paycheck. Okay, I fill up my tank, it's going to be $125 and I've got to make it last, and I've got this many days of school, which luckily you're getting ready to be done with school, but you'll still be driving up there for football, summer practices and stuff. But
yeah, but luckily that's only 3 times a week.
Yeah, thankfully. But you'll have more time to work, more hours in the summer, hopefully.
Hopefully.
But do you see that responsibility of like the constant forward thinking and the constant budgeting, the constant, thought processes that you have to have now with the additional level of responsibility, checking your oil, that kind of stuff? Do you see that as a burden? Like, does that feel like a heavy weight on your shoulders, or do you try to approach it like it's a challenge that you want to figure out how to do?
I feel like it's kind of more like a challenge than it is a burden, because whenever I go to fill up my tank with gas, I will see how much it is. I'll activate my rewards so that next time I can get 3 cents off, like it's going to do anything.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of random thoughts too. Like I'll just think of if I go this far and all the hills it takes, me driving an older truck, it takes a lot more like gas to get all that power to go up. It eats it through and through.
Yeah.
And I do feel responsibility with planning, management with my bank account, because I have that in my phone too. And also saving up.
Yep.
Saving up, I see there's a lot of responsibility in that, because it takes a lot of discipline as well to save up. Like whenever you get your first paycheck, And being a teenager, you're like,
You-
oh
you
wow,
are
$200.
You are rich. yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you know, you just think, oh yeah, it's fine. Next one will come in 2 weeks
Yeah.
now. Then you see how fast you blew through the first one, and you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
I need to take a minute and think on what I need to do and what I want to do
Yeah.
and when I can do what I want to do. Because I can't just go up to school and come home and then drive 35 minutes to a friend's house
Right.
and all in the same day and use a quarter tank of gas.
Yeah.
Because,
Especially if it's a Monday, because you got school 4 more days.
yeah. And if we have plans the weekend for church, like if it's one of the Sunday night lives at our church, I need to think, all right, am I going there after church by myself? Am I going to my uncle's house after? Because he lives closer to his church, obviously. And yeah, it just takes a lot of responsibility.
It's a lot when you're, you know, from the parent looking at you. I remember 2 years ago you were 14 and none of this was in our sphere of concern. We were not thinking about budgeting paychecks. We were not thinking about gas money. We were not thinking about
Truck
all
payments.
that. Truck payments. Me and your dad, we knew that adding you to our insurance was coming, but it wasn't a reality yet. But how fast the time has flown, but also that also just goes to show you how much you can grow and how much your perspective can change in a very short amount of time. I mean, you've had your license for 6 months now, and it feels like you've gotten.
It feels like I got it last month.
Really? You think it feels like that?
I do think it feels like that because after I get my license, I can only drive so many people.
Yeah.
And getting to that halfway mark to being able to drive other
16
people,
and a half, yep.
I feel like it's just like, oh, okay, I just
It's
can't.
like I'm just by myself.
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And then now that I actually can, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool now. Now I need to actually like,
Make plans.
make plans. And I can make more plans now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do obviously still need recognition with
Oh yeah,
El Madre.
Everything still runs through mom and dad. We've got, and I think we've always had a good understanding that as you've gotten older, and yes, you have a truck and it's in your name, but that doesn't mean you can just up and leave without talking to us first and making sure it's okay. You've never really given us any fits over that kind of thing. So, thankfully, you've always been very well mannered about that sort of thing. So yeah, but you thought the last 6 months of having your license went fast. I think of it more not on a fast or slow, but it's also like how much responsibility and how much of a sense of maturity you've grown into just in that very short amount of time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's cool. But so you've got a lot of responsibility. You always did naturally as being the oldest kid. So we've got 3 kids. We've got Jackson is 16. He has a 15-year-old brother and a 9-year-old little sister.
Big gap.
Big gap. Yeah, we had a gap there. But you've also got this responsibility because you have always wanted to work. You, even before you had your very first job outside of the house, you were mowing people's yard. You were begging your grandpa to work on the farm and try to find work there. And so what, so from working, doing mowing lawns for yourself, for other people, from going from that to actually working for a company. So you went to Taco Bell, then you went to the university. How did that change? What did that teach you in regards to, being a teenager who has a job? What did that teach you where you're working for somebody else who's not a family member now?
Working for my grandpa and people that have known me for most of my life is way different than working for a whole company where you have a whole lot of coworkers who are trying to get hours as much as you are. Like right now, I'm hardly getting any hours, but that's fine. I have nowhere to be except football workouts coming up right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, trying to find that like bond with your coworkers, because whenever you're working with whenever I'm working with Grandpa, it's usually just me and him, and we know how to communicate between each other during those jobs.
Yeah.
And
You know what he expects.
yeah, I know what he expects, and he knows what I expect in the end.
Yeah,
In
right.
the end of it, so
Yeah.
it's not much. Yeah, working with coworkers, it can be rough sometimes, but I always find a way to kind of like take a deep breath after, like if they don't finish their shift correctly,
Right.
or they don't because if I'm coming in the evening after someone who's been on a 4-hour shift and they're just tired, they just want to get out of there, and they leave me with a whole bunch of tubs of sweaty rags at the rec for me to throw in the wash, and attendance not even being took in the last 2 hours. I still do it for them, but yeah, it's kind of just, this is fine. It's not that big of a deal, and I'll talk to them about it at some point.
Yeah.
And even at Taco Bell, there was sometimes like that. Like I was running the window, or I was getting there to run the window, and it was during like a big rush. It was like 6:30, and he was like, the person who was running the window before me was like, he was like so like overstimulated that as soon as he saw me get there, he just handed me the headset, and
done.
yeah, he left. He left in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And-
Working outside of like for family or whatever, and then going into an actual workplace, there's a lot of dynamics that you have to feel your way through until you get used to people that you don't know. And I know at Taco Bell you had it was not a great environment, not knocking Taco Bell, the company, but it was not a great environment that he was in there. And as a parent, I always worried like, okay, I would just pray like, okay, God, surround him with good coworkers, with positive people. I wasn't worried about him being corrupted or anything goofy like that, but it was more of I want to make sure that he has wisdom in how he talks to his coworkers, wisdom in how he talks to his boss, a good strong backbone, because not everybody is friendly everywhere you go. And I feel like you ended up leaving Taco Bell, but I feel like when you were there, you handled, I think, all the different dynamics of personality pretty well.
I'm
And-
also very outgoing.
Jackson is very, very outgoing, but I know it's different, and on more of a logistical side, it's also different working for someone who has a schedule and it's a different company. Because if it's your grandpa or you're just mowing someone's yard, you can always say like, "Hey, I'm going to be a couple hours late," or "Hey, can we actually just do this tomorrow?" And it's easy to kind of be more flexible like that. But when you're on a shift at a job that's outside of
It is
that,
here
yeah,
through.
yeah, and one thing that I try to teach you, and one thing that I've always lived by, is something that I was taught early on when I was working, as far as like calling off. You don't want to be someone who calls off all the time. And, because if you're calling off, somebody else has to work. And so what you're calling off for has to be more important than what they're giving up of their free time, kind of thing. But I think you do a pretty good job with all that. And I know there's always goofy dynamics that you have to get used to, and with people, and there's always going to be people in different jobs who, if you're coming in after their shift, who's going to leave something a mess. And it's all in how you handle it. It's, you, like you said, you'll address it at some point if it continues to be an issue. But I think I'm pretty proud of you for learning that early on, that sometimes you just got to grit your teeth and do the work and address it when it's appropriate and pick those battles and
Take a deep breath.
exactly. So, we've talked about you know, having a job and how that changes your perspective about different things and how it grows you. How do you think having a job, so you've worked since you were 14 and a half, how do you feel like that's shifted what you want to do with your life, like after high school?
I do not want to do something that I'm going to find boring because then it feels more of like a necessity. Not necessarily a necessity, but like,
Feels like more of an obligation than
yeah,
like
I feel like
something
I
you enjoy
have
doing.
it feels like
Yeah.
like if you get a job that you never thought of for a while and that you haven't looked into and you're like, oh, but the pay's well, and you show up for the first 2 months, you're kind of gonna get you're kind of gonna get
You get burnout really quick.
burnt out. Yeah, you get burnt out of doing the same thing over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
And for some people, they
For
prefer
some people,
that
yeah.
repetitive. That I like going to work knowing exactly what to expect. Some people are built that way, and you know, more power to them. Some people are, but if you're lucky, and if you're one of the lucky ones that you end up doing what you want to do, you're gonna.
But
you're
yeah,
gonna be
if
good.
I'm just trying to say, don't find a job that pays well, that you know hardly anything about, and have no interest in, but you're good at it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to end up doing that for a long period of time, and you know, actually go out. Like I'm going to the career center for the electrical program. I don't want to end up you know, working at the university all my life, or I don't want to end up. No offense.
I work at the university, but
it's not what I meant.
me and his dad do.
But
We like our jobs.
yeah, it's just not my cup of tea.
That's okay.
I want to, like electrical work, you need to know, because
There's a lot of responsibility with
yeah,
that.
it's a big branch, and it's also very like dangerous.
Yeah.
Like
You wire something wrong, you could burn down a house.
yeah, it's just as much as is the power still on?
Right.
Is there a current still flowing? And is this connected to the right place?
Right.
And there's a whole different branch in the electrical branch. There's commercial. There's
Residential.
yeah, residential, commercial. Some someone say lineman because it's part of the same thing.
Yeah.
I've looked into most of those, and I would be fine with whatever, because it's not like the same go in, clock in, and talk to these amount of people, and then clock out, go home, repeat. It kind of requires you to learn to adapt to problems in the real world, and you know, you kind of start using that in your personal life too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm certified now. I don't have to spend, you know, $400 for this guy to come look at this wiring problem in my basement for just to tell me that I need this, this, and this. I can just look at it.
Yeah.
You know, I just want it to be useful in my personal life as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so you're going into, I know a lot of people, and I'm one of them, really, if anybody has an interest in going into the trades, so like electrical, plumbing, all kinds of, you know, mechanical, HVAC, whatever. There seems to be a new, like a refreshed sense of encouraging people to go into the trades. Do you feel like, as a high schooler, because I'm not in high school now, but I know as soon as you became a freshman, we started getting postcards in the mail from colleges, and the pool for college recruiting is ridiculous in it. But do you feel like in your high school now, it's a small high school, do you feel like there's too big of an emphasis on going to a traditional 4-year school over the trades, or is there not really that kind of a pool? Because when I was in high school, it was, where are you going to college? And, you know, the trades were not as, my generation, you know, we all had, a lot of our parents were in the trades and they were all wanting something better, and college was sold to us as something better. But now, you know, there's another, again, a refreshed push towards the trades.
Now a whole long time later, you finally realize, oh,
we need people to do.
Yeah, maybe AI can't replace electricity.
Yeah. No, it cannot.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I see a lot of diversity at the high school, with a lot of people going to the career center, and a lot of people who are, you know, taking dual credit classes for colleges.
Yeah.
Like right now, well, technically, tomorrow I'll be done with them, but I took psychology, sociology, and the dual credit, and I took dual credit business and entrepreneurship, which I feel like those will help me, because if I ever want to start my own business, that will teach me how to talk to other people and other companies, also investors. And yeah, I feel like I see a lot more people trying to go to college than at the career center and go into trades. But there's still a good number that try and go to the trades, but they just don't get in because of their poor grades.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have a few buddies of mine that are on the wait list of the diesel tech, welding, and construction. And now they realize, oh, maybe my grades did matter. Maybe I can't just pass with D's and 1C.
D's get degrees. You can't always lean on that.
No. You also get held at lower, I don't know, the bar is kind of lowered for you, or it's...
And that's not what you want.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So you mentioned your friends. Do many of your friends have jobs outside of school or anything?
Yeah. A lot of them have jobs.
Do you feel like you notice a difference in the way that they think or the way they behave in regards to how they treat other people, adults or teens, or like what do you notice a difference in the teens that do work and from the ones that don't? And maybe it's not even a bad thing, but
yeah, there's definitely a difference from a kid who may work all weekend long and are free during the week versus someone who's free 24/7. They either have stuff handed to them or they just don't care enough because they're like, oh, I can do that anyway. Like, what's the point?
Right. Well, and there's another dynamic too where there's I had a mixture when I was growing up. Some of my friends had jobs and some didn't. The ones that didn't have jobs were typically like top 10 students. Like their focus was school. One of them's a doctor now. Like so we'll forgive that. But well, I guess we'll let that slide.
That's fine.
I guess we'll let that go. And not that the ones that had jobs weren't smart. I mean, I had a job. I was a B average student. But I feel like I could tell the kids that a difference. And it, like I said, it's not even about their moral code. It wasn't anything about that. It was more in how they just approached everything. They were a little bit more lackadaisical about things, didn't really have consideration for where things might have come from or what it might have took for someone to get something. And I'm not trying to say that I was like the most grateful human being that ever walked the face of this earth. That's not what I'm saying. There's no good way to walk myself out of this hole that I'm probably digging right now. But I feel like there was a difference for me when I was a teenager. But yeah. So do you, as we, I work at the university. You work at the university. There are though those stereotypical ones that you can tell when they've never had to work for anything in their life. These are the students that just walk up. They're the ones that are just throwing stuff down, expecting someone to pick it up. Like instead of putting their towels in the bin, they're just throwing them in the corner, throwing them on the floor.
Or they're just not touching them.
Or they're just not touching them. I remember I worked at a hotel in town, and I'll never forget listening to parents. And again, parents to each their own. I'm not trying to be the superior authority on anything. But it always baffled me when I would hear parents talk in the lobby of the hotel, and they'd say, well, how much of an allowance do you give your student each semester? And we're talking thousands of dollars that they would give their kids just for their spending money. Now, mind you, they've got their room and board already paid for. They're not working jobs. Some of them would talk about, are they working? No, they don't have time to work. They're a full-time student. And I'm like, me, literally with my backpack on the floor back with where I just clocked into my job. And there are some of the stereotypical cliches that you can imagine with.
I do feel like there's a difference
privilege.
between spoiling your kids and overdoing it.
Yeah.
Like
Setting them up versus
obviously,
setting them back.
I don't think, and this is just coming from my perspective, because if you get given an allowance of say $1,000 like per month, not even per month, like any allowance ever, let's say $100 to $200 a week, and if you keep that, hold on. I'm stuttering.
I think I know where you're going.
No, if you keep on getting spoon-fed money and it's okay, you don't
More's
have to
coming.
worry.
More's coming, yeah.
More's coming. It kind of I don't want to say it makes you lazy, but it kind of does.
It removes the responsibility of you having to be a good steward over your money. And by being a good steward, it's a biblical concept. It's, God blesses you with something, whether it's through you have a job that pays you, or whether it's family that helps provide for you.
You have a way to find food.
Right. But then you're irresponsible, or you squander the money away either on junk, on toys, on things that aren't needs. You're not being generous with it, like, tithing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're kind of being inconsiderate.
Well, you're being inconsiderate, but you're not using God's blessings the way that he would have intended you to. We're required, the Bible talks about tithing, which is giving, being generous. And then you have needs. You have to plan. God doesn't want anybody living paycheck to paycheck. God doesn't want it. So you've got to work really hard. And I'm an adult and we're still working on this. You have to be very mindful with what you're spending your money on. And when you see people, especially teenagers, younger, not learning that concept early on, I'm not saying they can't be, this is not a salvation issue. It's more of just being a good steward of what you have.
I'm getting to this age of where I should start learning how to use this so that I can use this whenever I'm my parents' age, and I'm teaching my kid how to drive in a parking lot.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like it's a big step.
It is. So, we've talked about the future a little bit, planning for the future, career versus college and all that. Do you feel like as you've gotten older, it's what kinds of things as you've gotten older have started to matter to you a little bit more? And this could be in regards to friendships. It could be in regards to about your future plans, your relationship with the Lord. I'm just wondering, as someone who's 16 right now in 2026, when you're looking forward, what are you thinking about that's important? And we can start with relationships, friendships, that sort of thing.
One thing that I try and keep a close circle, because those are the ones who will always have your back. They'll always be willing to talk to you whenever you need to talk to someone. And, you know, they'll just always be there to support you. And I feel like it's good to keep those friendships close throughout high school and then on through life, because it's like, you know, you've been there with me since the beginning, or pre-life, I guess. You know, being in high school and
Yeah.
having,
Pre-adulthood.
yeah. And before having all those responsibilities, before you can go out and hang out with friends every single weekend, it turns into like every single, like once every few months. And yeah, friendship is a good thing to keep close and remember after high school.
I feel like quality, you know, the adage like quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's what I mean whenever I say keep a close circle.
Yeah.
Is, you know, you'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies, right? And
Oh, that's good.
yeah,
I've never heard that one. To trademark that. That was
write that down.
We're gonna write that one down.
And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So, how about, and we don't have to stay on this for too long, but as especially over the last year or so, you've started getting deeper in the Word. So, what, as a 16-year-old, does it look like for you? How do you stay close to the Lord? How do you, you know, stay up on your Bible reading? How do you keep that focus? And, you know, you've got all these different worries and all these different cares in the world. What kind of things do you think on and remember and try to focus on in order to keep God at the center of it all?
whenever I'm going through, like a rough week at school, and I just get so busy with either it's catching up on assignments, it's studying for tests, it's, you know, getting this turned in on time. I feel like I don't know. I feel like
I know you do a lot of practical things. Like you keep a devotional in your truck.
yeah, I keep a devotional in my truck. I keep a Bible in my room. I keep a Bible in my backpack. I feel like anytime that I'm not doing anything, or if I'm going through a hard time, I will, even in my phone, I have the Bible app. I can just open the Bible app and but I can search up like what kind of struggle I'm going with, like stress,
Anxiety.
yeah, and all that. And it will pull up scripture talking about how you should manage that, and you know, what God's take is on how you should manage stress and work. And yeah, I feel like whenever I'm going through a hard time, I start to wonder a lot of questions, you know, what should I do? And it kind of goes into prayer too. I pray and I ask, okay, God, I'm struggling with this right now. What can I do? Or what should I do? And he always ends up lifting that
Problem.
yeah, lifting all that weight off my shoulders.
One thing I think that you've been very wise about, and I'm very proud of you for it, is when you are going through hard times, you've always sought advice or counsel from people, from like myself or from grandma or grandpa. You probably go to your friends more than I see as your mom, but in regards to probably some of the big stuff, it hasn't helped that we've been pretty open and whatnot, and for you to be able to go to.
Yeah, it's definitely helped. You guys being open to hearing anything and, you know, willing to talk about that, because you know, you can't always keep, like, if I'm going through a really bad fight with a friend, I can't just keep that, and I can't keep that in the dark and push it to the side and just hope for it to go away, because then eventually she's going to ask, oh, how's so-and-so doing? And I'm like, about that.
Yeah.
And
Well, and you know, as your mom, I can tell when something's not right.
yeah, you can tell when something's not right. Like,
That's probably the days that I'm asking you more than one time, like, is everything okay?
are you okay?
What? You're awful quiet.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys always tend to stay open to hear anything that I have to say or anybody has to say.
Do you feel like, in regards to like your friends and stuff, do you feel like it's hard to share about the Lord with them?
Some friends, because I'm not friends with like all these people who believe in God and all these people who see God the same way. Like, some people see him how other people see him. And, you know, there's a lot of diversity. Some people have struggle believing there is God, and they struggle finding him.
Yeah.
And I tend to talk, I don't want to say it's like kind of biased, but it's kind of hard to talk to them and find a time to where we can talk about God with someone who may be going through a faith crisis or trying to find that hope.
Yeah.
That, you know, is there really? Yeah.
Right.
And I find it hard to talk to them about it, because I got to find a time. I got to, not like a specific date, but I got to know when the time is right. I got to know why. And, you know, other people who do believe, I can just talk to them about it and they understand, because they believe somewhat the same way I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it's hard when you're in the situation sometimes, especially if you're talking to someone who wants to push back about the validity of Christ or whatever.
Yeah, they just want to, like,
Argue.
again, brush it to the side.
Yes. Or they want to argue, or they want to diminish, or they want to bring in this whole, you know, perverted like fantasy stuff that people want to say, like angels and demons and, you know, all that stuff. They're like, oh, it's not real, it's all fake and all this stuff. It's hard when you're talking to those people, because, you know, you don't question your faith, but all of a sudden it's like, they know a lot more about their stuff than I feel like I know about my stuff. And the devil will try to make you believe that. Like, Satan will get in your head and tell you, you don't know enough to be talking to them about this. You don't know enough about God. Like, he'll make you have that self-doubt. I remember when I was in high school, and I was at band camp, and one night, we always had free time every night, and we were sitting in a large circle with a bunch of kids, and this one guy, people were going back and forth talking and debating about just nothing related to God or religion. But then one guy pointed at someone and said, okay, let's talk about religion. Go. And pointed at her. And I was like, they didn't point at me, but I was nervous. I'm like, I know where I stand, but what is he trying to get? Like, what is he wanting? He wanted to talk about religion. I'm thinking, okay, are you wanting to talk about God, or do you want to talk about religion? Because those are two different things. They tie together sometimes, but religion's man-made. God is not man-made. So, but when I was 16, I wasn't thinking that. My mind was in panic mode of like, how am I going to get out of this circle? I do not want him to, because I'm not combative. I'm not confrontational when I was 16. And not now, unless I have to be.
Like, you know how to talk now.
Like, right. But when I was a teenager, I did not have the confidence. I immediately went into self-doubt. So I'm sure, you know, Satan doesn't get that many new tricks all the time. But I remember it could be very hard. And then once you hear other people knowing, so again, it's important to be in your word. Just always be in the more you're in your word, or, you know,
the more stuff you learn and you can use in the real world.
The sermon this past Sunday was on the importance of being in the Word, and it was a really good sermon. But it just reiterated, you need to be reading your Bible regularly, because that's how you know who you are in Christ. That's how you know what salvation is about. That's how you know all these different things, is by getting to know the Lord through His Word. So just as a encouragement, just stay in your Word. And you know, don't back down. You know, you don't have to be confrontational with anybody, but just don't
let them
panic like
change
me.
your mind too fast.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
I saw this, this happened in my Spanish class, I think a week ago. And there was this girl who is atheist, and she was like, I don't know how we got to the topic about religion, but, it was talking about, is murder okay? And, well, I know, not necessarily murder,
Wow.
but like, can it be justified? And I don't know. I did not. I was only eavesdropping in
Yeah.
that conversation, and then this one girl who was atheist, because one of the people who were talking about it used to be atheist, but his whole story happened to him, and then I don't want to say woke up, but like he realized, oh wait, there is God.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh wait, I thought you were atheist. Or no, she was like, remember when you were atheist? You know, like kind of trying to remind him, I think. And he was like, yeah, but that was in middle school. That was a long time ago. And she was like, what made you change your mind? And he was like, he like told her this whole spiel in like 5 minutes. And she was like, wait a minute. I think I do believe. And I think, even though that if she does now believe, I don't think it's right one way or the other to change your mind too fast. You know, it's kind of like signing up for a subscription that you don't, like you skip and press agree and then purchase. And then it ends up
You don't want your faith to be
based on someone else.
based on somebody else. And I understand what you're saying. You don't want anybody's faith to come about based on like gotcha tactics or good stories or what have you. Science. I think science. I've heard a lot of people say science points more toward God being real than not. But anyways, what I'm getting at is where we are called to witness. So like what that exchange was, in a way, he was witnessing to her. In a way, the Lord was planting that seed through him of removing the doubt about his existence. And I don't think, you know, from the outside, maybe it looked like she changed her mind really fast, just as a flip sides kind of thing. But I'll bet he gave her a lot of food for thought. You know, we can't determine what her salvation is at any point before or after that conversation. Only she can. But I would differ on that, just in saying that the whole point of witnessing is to win people over for Christ. So we do want to kind of be expecting and to see people, oh yeah, God can change their mind. God can change their heart. You know, so keep your mind open about that.
I wasn't kind of saying that. I was just kind of saying, you know, how quick she was to like say, oh, there is a God.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there is, but
Right. But you also,
but she doesn't know all.
You also
the
don't
stuff
want
now.
somebody like coming to her with some goofy religion that's not God, and her just as easily being like, "Oh yeah."
I know that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I see what you're saying now. Sorry. Yeah, there's being a teenager is not easy. I feel like right now, especially since last fall, after Charlie Kirk was killed, I feel like there's this new, like renewed sense of pride in Christianity. And not pride like isn't a bad thing. You're not supposed to have pride and be prideful. But people aren't as
But,
ashamed
like,
right now.
Yeah,
And
people
that's a
people
good
stand
thing.
out for Christianity, and they
Yeah.
don't like how she was. What's your religion? Go.
Yeah. But it's, you know,
People are more.
we have that in our favor right now where it's,
They're more confident.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, my last question, and it's completely unrelated to that, is what do you feel like if you could go back before you were a teenager and tell me anything about what I should do what I should remember, what I should keep in mind as a parent as you go through the next 6 years as a teenager before turning into a full-grown adult. What advice would you give me, or what advice would you give another parent who's getting ready to have a teenager? What advice would you give to them? Not parenting advice, but from a teenager's perspective, what is one good thing that you think parents should always keep in mind?
Mental health and where their teen stands on, thoughts about faith and thoughts about, themselves. And yeah, I feel like it's kind of keeping a good relationship with your teen and not letting them grow too quiet in front of you.
Yeah.
Always asking questions, always staying up to date with them.
Prod. Yeah, for sure. I think that's a very good one. Sometimes from a parent's perspective, especially if you feel like something's off, there probably is, for one. We've experienced a little bit of that, but
I always feel like it's good to ask those questions.
always ask. And one thing, when Grandma was on a couple weeks ago with me, she emphasized the importance of keeping the lines of communication open. Always, at all cost, even through the hard stuff. And like with the mental health, no parent wants to feel, there's such a stigma even still, even today, mental health is addressed more now than it ever has been. But there's still this stigma that if a kid is going through something, that it's like, I can't tell anybody this. I can't talk about this, kind of a thing. And at all costs, you can't be in denial about it.
Yeah, don't make it a burden.
Don't make it a burden. Yep, absolutely. That's good. That's good advice. That's good. Well, thanks for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed it.
I liked it.
Good. I'll have you back on again sometime.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining in with us today. Again, this is Jackson, my good kid. All three of my kids are good, but he's a good kid too. So we just want to encourage you guys today, just hearing your teenagers want to talk to you. Maybe some of them say they don't. Some of them do. And maybe some of them that say they don't, they do. It's important to have good open communication about some things.
And some of them have problems saying what they want to because they can't stop stuttering so much.
That's okay. That's all right. But yeah, I just want to encourage you as parents to just, hang in there, try at all costs to talk to your kids. It doesn't have to always end up circling about the Lord or always circling about particular topics, but just always try to keep those lines of communication open. And, again, we'll have Jack on again to have another honest conversation about life and being a teenager who works and is having growing responsibilities. So, all right, well, we'll see you next week on Rooted in the Middle. Do you want to do it?
I can do the about myself stuff.
Okay. You have to talk a little bit louder than Are you ready?
Is this good?
That's way too much. Okay.
All right.
Okay.